I call the member for Balmain, but before I do, can I acknowledge in the gallery two very esteemed individuals, the President of the New South Wales Legislative Council and the Honourable Dr Peter Phelps. We welcome you to the Workers' Chamber. I call the member for Balmain.
Mr Temporary Speaker, I rise today and I thank the... Do I have to speak?
To apologise.
Mr Temporary Speaker, I simply need to make a contribution.
Is leave granted? Leave is granted. The member for Balmain.
Thank you very much, Mr Temporary Speaker, and I appreciate the support of the government to allow me to make this contribution today. I rise today to speak on the important matter of marriage equality, recognising that this weekend the Sydney Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras will celebrate its 35th anniversary festival, Sydney Mardi Gras 2013 Generations of Love. I'm a supporter of marriage equality. I've joined with my Greens colleagues to call on the Parliament of the Commonwealth of Australia to amend the Commonwealth Marriage Act 1961 to provide for marriage equality. That is, to remove any discrimination and allow people to marry regardless of sex, sexual orientation or gender. I particularly highlight the impact that discrimination in this area has in our community this evening, on our friends and our sisters, our brothers, mothers and fathers, and our teachers, colleagues and also leaders. This matter restricts what should be our most basic freedom, the freedom to marry the person you love. There is a simple question before the people of Australia. Do we want to live in a society that discriminates against people based on who they love, or not? And when the former Howard government amended the Marriage Act in 2004 in a political movement to wedge the Labor Party, a renewed campaign for full equality was ignited. At that time, a new definition was inserted into the Act to specifically exclude same-sex couples and to forbid Australia to recognise any same-sex marriage solemnised overseas. History now shows society's steady progress towards a more tolerant, fair and fully equal society, with women now, of course, securing the vote, with civil rights movement, with the first Australians being given the vote and with the decriminalisation of homosexuality. Marriage equality has already been supported in countries such as Canada, the Netherlands, Sweden, Belgium, Norway, Spain, South Africa, Argentina, Mexico and a number of states in the United States of America. Marriage discrimination is simply institutional homophobia, and it is all the more damaging because it engenders other, more insidious homophobia in our society. It feeds family rejection, social isolation, violence, homelessness, and some of the most severe discrimination imaginable. The institutional homophobia cultivates the fear and self-doubt that same-sex attracted people can experience every day. How can we expect our children in the playground and our colleagues in the workplace to challenge homophobia when the laws governing and recognising families and love sanction transparent discrimination? What chance do we have of improving the lives of vulnerable young people when our leaders and parliaments fail to take a stand against this discrimination? Recently, the Honourable Michael Kirby was speaking to the Senate Legal and Constitutional Affairs Committee, and he stated, quote, "I have never had a satisfactory explanation of how my loving relationship with my partner in any way damaged the institution of marriage or would if marriage were available to us," end quote. The institution of marriage is indeed an important institution, and it will be strengthened by accepting diversity within the community, removing discrimination and allowing access to the people who want it. The institution of marriage has always been changing, and it has changed significantly even in the past 20 years. The Australian Bureau of Statistics states that of registered marriages in 2010, 31% were religious ceremonies, down from 58% in 1990. In other words, in 2010, 69% of marriage ceremonies were conducted by civil celebrants, up from 42% in 1990. From the 20 years from 1990 to 2010, the proportion of babies born outside registered marriages rose from just over 1/5 or 22% to just over 1/3 or 34% of all births. These statistics tell us, and the moral imperative and the need to end discrimination tells us that it is time for full marriage equality for all, regardless of gender or sexual orientation. I'd like, Mr Temporary Speaker, to particularly recognise the Gay and Lesbian Rights Lobby, Community Action Against Homophobia, ACON, Parents and Families and Friends of Lesbians and Gays, the Gender Centre and all of the groups, activists and community members who have come out in support of marriage equality. I also recognise the work of my colleague Kate Thurman in the Upper House and that of my federal Greens colleagues, all committed to achieving marriage equality. I also note members from across the chamber in different parties in this House and in other places who have stood up against discrimination and supported the concept and in fact voted with and argued for the fact that marriage equality should be legislated. Many of these campaigners I've mentioned have sacrificed a great deal as part of the struggle for equal rights. And to them, I say thank you. I say congratulations on what you've achieved so far. And I'll continue to work and fight alongside those organisations for the most basic freedom of all, for every individual to be able to marry the one they love, free of discrimination and free of any aspect which doesn't allow the full nourishment and fruition of those relationships. Mr Temporary Speaker, as we've heard already today in the House, and following from the motion that I moved this morning, happy Mardi Gras. Congratulations for all of those who are helping making it a great event, and I appreciate your time to make this contribution.